Hey everyone, my name is Xin. I'm a software engineer working on Firebase Remote Config. To start off, who here likes coffee? Awesome. Did anyone check out that fancy barista app out there by the coffee bar? Yeah? Now, did you all know what you wanted to order before you got there? Well, I didn't. I love coffee, but it was my first time using the app, and I was quite pleasantly surprised and a little blown away by the sheer number of different drinks and customizations it has. I was staring and scrolling through the screen for the longest time, trying to figure out what I wanted and how I wanted it. I'm pretty sure there were people behind me in line that were thinking to themselves, like, can you hurry up and stop holding the line? I kept wishing that a virtual barista of some sort would magically just pop up and automatically recommend something to me. And wouldn't it be great if, as I order more and more drinks in the future, the recommendations could just improve, giving me a better experience each time? Now, imagine you're developing an app to provide that sort of experience. Just like how everyone has different tastes when it comes to their coffee, your users may also have different preferences and expectations when using your app. They want their app experience to be better than the last time they're on it. And there are so many things that could reduce the quality of that experience. A misplaced ad, for example. It could annoy a user into just closing your app in the middle of a big order, and they may not come back. And that's not so great. But unlike a real-life barista, your app can't simply just ask your users what kind of experience they would like. A barista may recommend something based on subtle hints, like customer's mood, their order history, and that often means using these complex psychological inferences that the brain is capable of generating. But how do you perform these kind of complex, multifaceted analysis in an app, though? Well, with machine learning, of course. Using the power of machine learning, Remote Config Personalization gives you the ability to create several user experience alternatives and automatically provide the best one to each of your users based on a metric goal that you care about, like maximizing user engagement or revenue. And best of all, you don't have to be a machine learning expert to do this. You don't have to worry about setting up complicated pipelines or models because Remote Config Personalization does it all for you. Now, before diving into personalization, let me quickly tell you a bit about what Remote Config is. You can think of Remote Config as a key value store with powerful conditions to create targeted user experiences. So, for example, a key can have several values based on a language, a country, an analytics audience, or more. Now, one of these special values can also be a machine learning-driven personalization. As you use Remote Config in your app, the personalization algorithm will automatically select the best value for each of your users to maximize their objective. So you can think of this as performing an automated, individualized, continuously improving A/B test. And as time goes by, user behaviors might change. And that's okay, because the personalization algorithm will continue to learn, adapt, and adjust, always trying to optimize for your objective at any given time for a particular user. And because we take care of everything for you, all you have to focus on is just building the features your users love. Remote Config Personalization is built on Google Analytics. And for those of you who haven't used analytics before, the two main features of analytics are the ability to measure predefined and custom events in your app and report specific event parameter values for important metrics surrounding those events as they occur. So, for example, an e-commerce purchase event or e-commerce purchase amounts. Remote Config Personalization gives you the ability to use any analytics event as an optimization objective. So let's say, for example, you have an event relating to, ad revenue, and that it could have a numerical value attached to it. Let's say the amount you earned for a click or impression. Not only can you optimize for how often those ads were clicked or shown, but also how much total revenue they brought in. This way, you can use personalization to maximize the user lifetime value that comes from ad, And this is pretty cool. Or at least I think it's pretty cool. So let's walk through an example on how to set that up. So here I have a mock of my amazing test app, the new Grind Coffee. And as you can see, I currently have a banner ad that's displaying near the top of my screen. This is currently set by default value and my remote config parameter. So let's use personalization to, well, personalize that banner ad location for each of my users to maximize my objective. I think for our little experiment here, the 4 alternative options I want to explore is top, bottom, inline, and bottom fixed. All right, so let's jump into my Firebase dashboard to set this up. Great. So I start in my Firebase dashboard, and I can see the various remote config parameters I have controlling different app experiences in my app. Let's click and zoom into one of them. App placement, which you probably have guessed, it controls the placement location of that banner ad in my app. As you can see, it's currently set to a default value of top for all my users. But I think each user responds to ads differently. That's what makes ad revenue so hard to optimize for. I want to put my ad at the right location for each of my users to maximize my objective. But I don't really know where that location is. I don't want it to be too disruptive for the user that they'll get annoyed and just leave my app before even placing an order. But at the same time, not so subtle that they'll completely ignore and miss the ad, which is pretty common for banner ads. So let's use personalization in remote config to figure out the best app placement location for each user. So to personalize a parameter, I click on Add New and click on Personalization. This will bring up the personalization flow. The top section that you see here is where you can define several alternative values that your users can have. So in our case here, that would be the different placement locations for my ad that I can have my users experience. So as mentioned before, let's explore the 4 options here, which is top, bottom, inline, and bottom fixed. Cool. Next up, I need to select my objective. Since I want to maximize for my total ad revenue, I'm going to use personalization to maximize the total parameter value of a custom analytics event I have set up. So I have a custom event set up called ad revenue. I know it's not very original, but attached to that is a flow type parameter called value. Now, in my app, I'm logging this event and forwarding the impression level ad mob revenue that I'm getting from AdMob into this parameter. And I can verify that everything is working as expected by heading into my analytics event dashboard. And select my event and verify that my event is showing up here with the right parameter and values populated. All right, everything looks pretty good. So let's go back to my setup. Great, I can see that my custom ad revenue event is showing up here. So let's select that. Next, since I want to optimize for the sum of my total paid impression, I need to toggle sum there. And then I enter the name of the event parameter that I'm forwarding my AdMob data to. So that will be value. I'm also interested to see what happens with user engagement, but I don't want it to be driving the optimization algorithm. So let's select that as an additional metric. I'm almost done. Next, I need to select a target segment. Let's target all my USA users for now and see how that works before potentially expanding it to everyone. Give it a name and a description, and pretty much done. Click Save and Publish in order to get this personalization running. Great. As you can see, I'm now waiting for personalization to work its magic. This can take some time, so let's jump into some tips and tricks on how we can set up an effective personalization. As magical as machine learning is, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to build and improve the models. While you should be able to see some results in a day or two, we recommend just leaving it run indefinitely. That way, personalization can continue to learn, ensuring that your app stays in sync with your users should their preferences change over time. Some of the most effective personalizations that we have seen are the ones that have been running for at least a week, usually much longer. When picking a targeting condition, choose a large enough target segment that will generate plenty of result data, ideally with as many users as possible. When picking alternative values, pick ones that produce a large difference in outcome. The system will learn faster and create more value when the alternatives are less similar to each other. And finally, good machine learning models thrive on lots of data. So when picking an optimization objective, choose an event that fires pretty frequently. Cool. And as shown before, you can use the analytics event dashboard to verify that the event you're trying to optimize for is being fired. If you're not getting any data in your personalization after a while, this is most likely the issue. If you're using custom parameter value maximization, make sure that the event and parameter names match exactly with what you see on your events dashboard, and that it has a numerical value attached to it. You can also search for personalization assignment events. These events are automatically fired whenever a user gets a value. It notes the personalization ID, the group that the user is in, whether it's baseline or personalized, the alternative index and value that the user got, and the remote config parameter name that's associated with this personalization. So what can you do with all this data? Well, you can export it to BigQuery and use this event to identify users in each group of interest and slice your analytics data accordingly. Cool. Now, it's been a while, so let's go back to our personalization to see how it's doing. After about a week or two, the personalization should be working pretty effectively. So to see the results, I just need to click on the personalization icon, which is the sparkly person icon, in my remote config parameter, and wow, I am pretty impressed that my personalization is outperforming my baseline by 8%. This is pretty magical. So let's dive into the results a little more. So the top section that you see here, it shows the high-level information about my personalization, including when the personalization was started, the objective I'm trying to achieve, my targeting condition, and the various alternative values that my users can have. You can also see how many users are exposed to my personalization on the top left. The bottom section shows my performance. The baseline group, which is the gray bar chart here, is a group of random users that will receive a persistent, non-personalized value. It gives me a way to understand and compare what I'm gaining from using personalization. Now, the baseline is only 20% of my total users, so it's way smaller than a personalized group. So it's scaled up here to be comparable. Now, to see my performance over time, I just need to head to my top right and click on the daily toggle. And as you can see, my performance started out as not super great for the first few days, but it got better over time. And this makes sense because the personalization algorithm will continue to learn, making smarter and better decisions the longer it runs. Now, to toggle between my overall objective and the secondary metrics I'm interested in, I just need to click on the top. And here, I can see that my user engagement time is not too impacted by my app placement. And that's exactly what I want here. Personalization is exceptionally powerful when different users benefit from different experiences. For example, setting a dynamic game difficulty level or figuring out the right discount percentages for the promotions that you're running. So go ahead and give personalization a try to give the best version of your app to each of your users. If you're already using Remote Config today, you can start creating personalizations in your dashboard. If not, here's some videos and documentations to find out more about what Remote Config and personalization can offer, including how it's different from our A/B testing products. Cool, that's all for now. And if you have any questions, you can find me in the Ask Firebase Lounge area after this, probably with a coffee in my hand. Thank you.